You're still going? When are you done? You can stop anytime now.
I can't. I'm getting paid too much money.
My legs are dead. The WWE Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia just happened. I'm out of breath because as much as I hate doing that, for the purpose of the skit, I toughed it out. I am dead. Just trying to do that eating. I did like so many takes. My legs are like, don't do that again. That's so stupid. But if you get the premise of the joke, that's exactly how it was when watching the pay-per-view. It really was. So, as the day that I'm making this video, it has been about a day or two since the pay-per-view. I believe it's now Monday, so Monday Night Raw is already happening. I'll be real with you, Verse. You know, the Royal Rumble, out of all the WWE pay-per-views, is by far my most anticipated and favorite pay-per-view that WWE has going on, right? It's even more than WrestleMania for me, to be honest with you. I like the Royal Rumble because honestly, it's just a really fun concept. Either having anywhere from a 10 to 20 to 30 Royal Rumble match. It's crazy, like, especially when there's a wrestler that will be like one of the first ones in the ring, and then literally they'll last until the very end. It's amazing to be able to have that much cardio and deal with the other 29 wrestlers, you know, unless you're one of the few that are able to be blessed and come in at the very end, you know. I will definitely say, Verse, last year's Royal Rumble was amazing. I loved it. I loved about 95% of it. I only didn't like the result of the Royal Rumble matches for both the women and the men's. But the Royal Rumbles themselves, I thought were great. The wrestlers that they involved in, I thought was amazing. I loved that Royal Rumble so much. I remember my last podcast episode that I did was with a good buddy of mine, and we were talking about the Royal Rumble, what we loved and didn't like about it. I really enjoyed that pay-per-view. And honestly, when it comes down to the WWE pay-per-views, I would love to just come here, sit my ass down, look at the camera and be like, guys, this pay-per-view, it was amazing. You know, I love that this person did this. You know, Triple H did this. I thought that was a great idea. Wasn't sure about that, but regardless, it made it by doing this. I would love to just do that. I really would. But I can't. I know because of my opinions, I've had people literally assume that I hate the WWE. That people are just like, man, like whenever it comes down to the WWE, it's just really bad for you, you know? And honestly, yeah, it kind of is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is. And it's not because I want to just shit on the WWE, guys. You know, I love the WWE. Unfortunately, money gets in the way. And when money gets in the way, it compromises a lot of things. A lot of things, and man does it show. Talking about this Royal Rumble, I was already nervous because of the fact that, for one, WWE has obviously done pay-per-views outside of the US before. It's nothing new, right? But they've never really done major pay-per-view events. I don't believe there's ever been a WrestleMania that's been outside of the US, as well as the Elimination Chamber's been out. They were at Australia, I believe, last year. The Royal Rumble's never really been outside the US. Now, for the first time, the Royal Rumble is going to be held at Saudi Arabia. They invested so much money into it that literally they built a whole new stadium just for the Royal Rumble. Knowing the fact that they did that, I'll give them credit. I think that was awesome. The stadium that they made, the way how it looked, I thought was pretty sick. I think they had a pretty cool layout of the design that they did for the Royal Rumble. Unfortunately, despite appearances, it just did not work. Keep the Royal Rumble within the US, or at least take it somewhere where you know the crowd's gonna be hyped for it, like France or even Puerto Rico. I would take either of those two than freaking Saudi Arabia, because this proved they can't handle it, nor do they even deserve it. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go based off what I see here, okay? Throughout the majority of this pay-per-view, the crowd was just there. They didn't do anything. They cheered for certain things, and then moments where there should have been cheers, nothing. Nothing. I could tell certain wrestlers that came, they didn't know who the hell they were. I could tell there's hella wrestlers where they were just like, whatever. They didn't give a shit about when the pay-per-view started, that's for sure. When the Women's Royal Rumble started, literally, the stadium was empty. And people were barely coming in when the Royal Rumble for the women's had already started. And I was like, what? I've never seen that before. I know a few people will still be coming in, but usually people want to get their asses in the seats so they can get ready for the countdowns. That's one of the best parts, is just anticipating who's going to come in. And most importantly, for Royal Rumbles, the surprises. Here, we didn't get any of that except for a few. There were no surprises except for one here and there. Best way I could sum up this year's Royal Rumble. The women's, very underwhelming. The men's, very disappointing. I'm gonna go in order. So, the women's. Because this is in Saudi Arabia, there's this thing called Sharia's Law, I believe. Women there aren't allowed to show any type of nudity. They're not even allowed to show that shoulder stuff. You try to show that shoulder, ooh, look, that little bit of shoulder. It's like, don't do that. You know, it's like a major thing over there. And because of that, all the female wrestlers have to be covered up. Every female wrestler was like in a suit of some kind, just in a different color, in a different latex of some sort. It looked like one Power Ranger after another. It literally looked that way. I've seen memes and so many people joking about that, of all the women coming in with just straight up bright colors with some glitter here and there. It just felt a little restrictive, if I'm being honest with you, right? Because, you know, when you see a chick, right, and she's beautiful, you're just like, I want to see her, you know? But here, it's just like she's so covered up, and then also having to really do a lot of acrobatic stuff and flips and, you know, taking bumps and doing all this stuff. It has to be exhausting as well. It's pretty hot in those suits, I would assume. So credit to the women having to tolerate that. So the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan, won. For me, I would just say it's meh. You know, I didn't really care. The only surprise guest that I can think of was just Bella's sister that came in. You know, she came back and I was like, oh wow, but she came at the very last minute. And the Women's Royal Rumble, I thought, was actually more exciting than the men's. If I'm being honest with you, especially when it came down to the last three, in the matter of like, oh, who's gonna get it, you know, like even the way how it ended had a better anticipation than the men's, which I'll get to in a bit. But the Women's Royal Rumble, I really thought was just very underwhelming, if I'm being honest with you. I felt like it could have been a lot better. Already, like, just some of the concepts that they go for, this is my issue with it. It's not necessarily the idea, it's more of how they do it that really disappoints me. Because it's just, at times, the way how they give it to you is kind of obvious, like a little too obvious. But regardless, you know, the Women's Royal Rumble was fine. It really wasn't great. I thought it could have been way better. When it came down to Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, I really didn't care for that match. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that the wrestlers did a great job, but I didn't really care too much for it. I doubted that Sami Zayn was gonna win here, because since they announced that WrestleMania is also gonna come here, which I'm gonna talk about later, I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't really find Sami Zayn that interesting to me. And in here, I doubt that they're going to make him WWE Champion in the Royal Rumble. Despite the fact that Sami Zayn actually likes being there. He's, for those of you that may not know, he's Muslim. So because of that, when he goes there, he speaks Arabic. He actually enjoys being there just because of his religion beliefs. Because of that, you know, it kind of would make sense for him to win something there. But here, nope. Probably WrestleMania. We had AJ Styles versus Gunther. This one was a joke. It was a joke for me because it was very obvious who was gonna win. Ever since the main event of Saturday Night Live with John Cena, they made it so obvious that they're trying to push Gunther immensely to make him seem like this big giant threat. And unfortunately, it just doesn't really come off at times for me, if I'm being honest with you. It's pretty obvious that they're shoving him in your face. Is this like back in the PG era where they were constantly shoving John Cena in your face when you were just like, I don't want to see Mr. Fruity Pebbles at the time. Right now, because of all the backlash I feel like they got with John Cena, Goldberg was whatever. But with John Cena and the way how they handled that, people were pissed. I was pissed if you saw my last video. I didn't like that at all. I hated that. People tried to make excuses. I'm like, fuck no. That was not cool. The way how you just smiled and was like, okay. I hated that. And now here, they did that for AJ. Now you can tell they're doing this whole thing where he's going to be basically the career killer. And now he got AJ. AJ lost, which I saw miles away. And to be honest with you, I thought that it was kind of dumb that if you were going to end AJ's career, at least in the WWE, he says he's retired, but I'm like, no, I think he's just retired here in the WWE, not entirely. So we'll see. But I think it was kind of odd for them to have him end his career at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. To me, I'm just like, for some reason, the way how they're booking all these last minute shows for these wrestlers for like their final matches has been odd. John Cena, you did it on Saturday Night Main Event, and now for AJ, you did it at the Royal Rumble. Why? And it wasn't even anywhere that was big, to be honest with you. So to me, I was just like, these are really odd choices to be ending your final matches. Like for me, I'd be like, oh, I would love to end my final match like in Los Angeles or New York City or like Texas, you know, like in Houston on those big stages or something, you know, maybe Las Vegas too. So like, fuck it, you know, like something big like that. But in Saudi Arabia, I'm like, I guess if you're from there, but I don't know. It just felt like a really odd choice for me, at least. I'll say that. Going to the men's Royal Rumble. So the men's Royal Rumble. What the fuck? What was that? This was by far the most uninteresting, disappointing Royal Rumble I've ever seen. I'm being real with you, and I've seen damn near almost all the Royal Rumbles because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Royal Rumble concept. And when it came down to this one, there was just some odd decisions that were being made, as well as even the booking. The only surprise throughout the whole entire men's Royal Rumble that I liked was Powerhouse Hobbs. When he came in, I was like, oh shit! But then the crowd was just like, eh. They were just on their phones. I could tell they did not know who he was. You could tell they don't watch AEW or TNA or any other wrestling promotion that's out there. You could tell WWE is like the only thing they watch, because there were so many wrestlers that came into this Royal Rumble that I was a little confused by, only because of where they were at. This is me. If you're going into a foreign country, you might want to stick with people that are literally within the main roster of the WWE. For you to bring in wrestlers that a lot of people just really aren't familiar with was a terrible idea. Here's what I mean. In this Royal Rumble, I noticed that other than the fact that they brought a bunch of NXT wrestlers, they brought in a bunch of luchador wrestlers from both the WWE and AAA that they bought recently. And to me, I was like, you know, I don't have an issue with the luchador wrestlers, but most of these people, I'll be honest, even I don't know who they are. And the wrestlers, when they came in, the audience was just kind of there. Some of them, I understand why they didn't give a reaction, because I could tell they were just like, who is that? We're like, who is this guy? Everybody here knows who Mr. Iguana is, but over there, they were just like, Mr. Who? And it just came off so cringy the way how Mr. Iguana was doing his performances. It came off a little cringy at times, if I'm being honest with you. And I couldn't hold it. He was just doing things like when he was playing dead, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so stupid. Oh my gosh, the biggest thing for me. So midway, right, I noticed that when it came down to the main roster of WWE, they only put in just the ones that they use every single Monday Night Raw show ever. Like, they don't ever use any other people from the roster. Some people came in that I was surprised about. LA Knight, when he came in at number 24, I was like, oh shit, it's LA Knight. Okay, they could literally make up for this by giving him the spot as the winner of the Royal Rumble. I was hoping for LA Knight to win. Nope. Of course not. LA Knight is just getting done dirty, man. I feel bad for LA Knight. He deserves a lot better than this. I'm just like, you guys had so many opportunities to use LA Knight, to hype him up, to give him something, and you just keep wasting him. Zack Ryder came back again. Didn't even last 5 minutes. I'm like, what are we doing? What is it about Zack Ryder that you guys just don't fuck with? Like, what is it about him? I don't understand. He has credibility now. He's proven his point as a top-notch wrestler. You just don't want to use him for some reason. I don't understand. Powerhouse Hobbs, you know, he came in and I was just like, sick. Didn't last too long, but it was cool to see him though. I was like, all right, cool, little introductions. He just got here, so I could cut that a break. When it came down to Brock Lesnar, I was hyped about it. And then, guess what? Jey Uso. That skit verse, I made that skit for a specific reason, okay? As you may know, I'm going to clarify this right now. Jey Uso as a person, I have nothing against him. His gimmick, however, I do not like. I find Jey Uso to be very annoying. Because I work late, right? What I do is that I just come home, I'll put on Netflix and I'll try to like get to the main point so I can see what it is that I missed, right? That's the good thing about streaming, is that you can catch up whenever you want. Whenever Jey Uso comes on and he's from the stadium, he's going, oh, so doing that stupid shit, I just skip it. I skip that whole segment because it takes him fucking 10 to 20 minutes to get down that damn stadium. And then even when he gets down to the freaking ring, he takes fucking forever to just get to the point because he's just too busy yeeting the whole time. And I'm just like, dude, we're just wasting time here. Like, I'm waiting for something to happen, dude, because I don't give a shit about you yeeting. You do that every single time. It just got repetitive. It's old. I could give a shit. And then throughout this whole entire segment, he was just yeeting. And then during his entrance, I think it was Cody and LA Knight, they knocked out Brock Lesnar midway as Jey Uso was still coming down from the audience. And I was like, wait a minute. What just happened? Did Did he just get eliminated? And I could tell the crowd was like looking this way as that shit happened, as he got eliminated. Like nobody even knew. Like I could tell when people turned around, they were like, oh, where's Brock? Did he get eliminated? I was like, what kind of planning is that? That was horrible. I thought that was a wasted opportunity, to be honest with you. I mean, Brock Lesnar came in and he kind of hyped it up, to be honest with you. And then they just eliminated him like off screen. It's like a movie, like when somebody dies but you don't see it. That's how it felt like, just because of Jey Uso yeeting. And then when he came down to the stadium, he kept high-fiving people.
This dude's still coming to the ring! He's still coming to the ring! What are you doing? Why is he high-fiving him? I know you lying. I know you lying.
Hold on, Jamal. Don't drop yet. I want to enjoy this Yeet Mania.
He was doing all these things and I was just like, damn dude, I was like get to the point. And then Roman came in, and then when Roman came in, I was like, thank God. I was like, I got so sick and tired of seeing freaking Jey Uso. And then for a moment I got scared because it looked like Roman was like, oh, are we gonna do it again? We're gonna rank it up? And I was like, oh my God, oh, what the fuck? Like, what is it about Jey that you guys keep pushing? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Change up his style. Make him a heel. Do something else. Like, the shit's repetitive. It's not working. Roman being Roman, he was like, fuck that shit. I was like, thank you. That was the best part of the whole freaking thing. I was like, thank you. Despite everything else that happened, Roman ended up winning the Royal Rumble, which, by the way, I will say, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. Again, it was very disappointing because me personally, out of everybody, like I said, I wanted LA Knight to win. I think this would have been a perfect opportunity for LA Knight to have gotten something, and still it's nothing. Just some of the creative things that they were doing here, I just don't understand where it is that they're trying to go with. You know, I've already heard rumors that they're trying to make Cody a heel, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, do that. I think that the good guy persona just, it's kind of weak now. It's not really working for Cody, at least in my opinion. So I think for them to change it up and make him a heel, I think that'd be very interesting. I think they should do that. But when it came down to the WWE, the Saudi Arabia Royal Rumble, I gotta be honest with you, don't go back. That crowd was horrible. Most of the time, they didn't seem like they gave a shit. They only cheered for things that they knew. And for things that they didn't know, they were just on mute. If anything, they were probably on their phones. It was so lackluster. I was like, where's Green Shirt guy? He's always there. And he was there. You just couldn't see him. And then when it came down to just the result of it, I'm right here thinking about it, and I'm just like, so you're telling me if this is the Royal Rumble, you expect me to be excited now when they go to Saudi Arabia next year for WrestleMania? I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is bad, man. If they could still get out of it, I would much appreciate that, because I think we can all agree we don't want them to go back to Saudi Arabia unless it's something small like Crown Jewel. Shit, give them Backlash for all I care. I don't care. But don't give them something major like the Royal Rumble or even WrestleMania. It's just not going to work. Secondly, the seats. Other than the fact that it was really empty in the beginning, it looked like towards the end more people obviously came in. But I gotta be real with you, there were quite a few empty seats. Even next to the Green Shirt guy, I saw a video of him just sitting by himself, and there were so many seats just empty there. People are right here trying to say, oh no, that's not true. You know, it's just because there's these lights that are in the seats, so, you know, it just looks like there's not really anybody, but there are people there. And I'm like, no, it wasn't sold out. It wasn't full. I even heard that there was like some kind of soccer game going on, and over there they fucking love soccer. And I'm like, then why the fuck are we here? I'm like, why are we here then? Why are we here giving them our shit if they don't even really care for it? If they're worried about this other stuff, then bring it back. People keep making excuses. Well, it's all about the money. Yeah, well, it's all about the money. Well, this is the shit you get. Ass. And you know what I really like too? Since I made my video about how like I noticed that certain people out there just be kind of kissing WWE's ass, I'll be real with you. I noticed that a lot of the people that stream watching WWE content were actually disappointed too. They were being honest here. Like they weren't just kissing ass going, oh my gosh, that's amazing. They were actually like, what? Why would they do that? Huh? And I was like, thank you. Look, I'm not telling people not to watch WWE, and let me make that very clear. I love WWE, okay? I'm giving what you call tough love, all right? You love something, but you gotta be honest with it sometimes, so that way they can improve and get better. You don't have them bring you ass content and then be like, that was great. Yeah, I love that. WrestlePalooza was. It was. Don't be courteous to people just because you want to be nice. Sometimes honesty is the best medicine. You gotta be real about it. And here, I gotta be real with you. With WWE, I'm not liking what I've been seeing so far. It's really been a sinking ship, and somehow they're still floating. I noticed that every week it gets repetitive. They use the same wrestlers every single week. They don't change it up sometimes. It's getting tiring to see. And you know what's unfortunate is that wrestlers that are in the WWE don't really get noticed. And then it's not until they leave the WWE that then they get noticed. Perfect example, Shotzi. When she was in the WWE, I didn't give a shit about Shotzi. I was like, Shotzi, well, what is she gonna do? I remember I used to think that. Then when I found out that they let her go, dude, in the independent scene, she's been killing it. She's like the best female wrestler there. I was like, damn, it's Shotzi. So to me, I'm just like, it's a damn shame that you can't seem to make a name for yourself while you're in the biggest promotion that's out there, which is the WWE. But then it's not until you leave then you get noticed? What is going on here? That shouldn't be a concept. That shouldn't be a thing at all. So why is that happening? I noticed that. Either people are going to other promotions to really get a bigger seat in the spotlight, or they're just going out doing it on their own and they're killing it. I mean, damn, I give credits to Shotzi. I think she's a badass now because she's just been doing everything on her own. Credit to her, man. If you haven't seen any of her shows, go check her out. She's been killing it. Other than that, here in the WWE, it's just a lot of favoritism. If you're not in Triple H's line of sight, it's like, don't expect any TV time sometimes. That's just what I see. And it's been really bad. Even in the end of the show, people were yelling at Triple H again, telling him that he fucked up.
Yeah, you know, I think this might be one of my favorite Rumbles for a lot of reasons. I think the one person I had to pick, I think it would be Oba. Oba at this point, talent that good. You're keenly aware of it.
And honestly, if it keeps going in this direction, Verse, I think it's going to be like that every single time now. And that's really sad to see. I hope not, because nobody wants to be criticized like that. But, if you're approving it, what do you think's going to happen? Other than that, though, Verse, that was just my thoughts on the Royal Rumble. I would definitely say a lot of people will agree that we don't want them to go back to Saudi Arabia for anything major. And unfortunately, they're going to end up going back for WrestleMania, which I think is going to be a huge mistake. It's already bad enough that they're doing Las Vegas again. I don't know why. Honestly, this year for WrestleMania, I'm not even excited for it because I'm just like, Vegas again? There's no break. There's nothing. Go back to New Orleans like you were supposed to. It's a different vibe. It's a different location each time. They're just doing it just because of how many people were attending. This is just me, but it's WrestleMania, so regardless of where you're at, there's going to be a shitload of people. TKO. It's a shitload of people regardless. It's WrestleMania. Of course a bunch of people are going to show up. Look, you went to Saudi Arabia, it was a shit show. It was horrible. Everyone, all over TikTok and Instagram, I've just been seeing videos of people saying they hated it. They hated the crowd. They hated the way how it was going. They hated the results of it. Everybody hated it. Even this year's winners, they're not bad, but they're not great either, I mean, Liv Morgan, you either like it or you don't, and Roman's like, okay, I mean, it's Roman, so obviously he's, the GOAT, but is he going to stay? That's the question. Is he going to stay or is he going to go again and then come back? I'll probably get CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. But that aside though, Verse, if you like what you saw, do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification for more content as always. Look forward to the next video, Verse, and with that said, I'll see you next time. And let me know what you guys think though, Verse. I mean, it's cool to be able to talk about wrestling, but honestly, I really would just like to have a moment where I could really just watch a pay-per-view from WWE now and just, honestly, if it's a great show, I'll come on here and be like, hell yeah, that was a great show. But right now, man, it's just not happening. They're just really at a stumble. Anyways, I'll see you later, Verse.